Welcome to On the Frontline, the Military Rec Show. Hosted by John Prue, a veteran MWR professional with nearly 4 decades of experience. This is where we highlight the leaders, innovators, and recreation professionals working to enhance the quality of life for our military members and their families. In this episode, we're joined by Emily Caramanian, a recreation specialist with FMWR at Fort Benning, Georgia. With experience in outdoor recreation and warrior adventure quest, Emily brings a unique perspective on serving military members and their families and navigating a career in military recreation. This is On the Frontline, powered by the DPRS Media Network. Let's dive in.
All right, it is 1300 on Tuesday, 4 August 2026, and you are on the front line. My name is John Prue, as the host of this weekly podcast focused on armed forces or military recreation. We talk to professionals in the industry who are in some way or have made a difference in the quality of life for our military and their families. For all of you out there, you might be a morale, welfare, and recreation professional who directly supports quality of life for our military and families each and every day. Maybe you are or have been in the military or user of MWR programs and services at some point, and we thank you for your service. Perhaps you're from a business or organization which directly supports or wants to support our armed forces recreation professionals around the globe. You just might be a public parks and recreation professional curious about that thing called military recreation and what it's all about. Or perhaps you don't fit into any of those categories and you just tuned in. Either way, welcome. Welcome to On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show. Can you believe it? We are in August already. I looked at the calendar. I was looking at some dates. I was trying to schedule some, meeting up with some friends to play a round of golf. We have some other friends we wanted to get together with on the weekend and visit. And I'm like, we don't have much summer left here. We've only got a couple more weekends before Labor Day, and I'm in the Midwest, and you know, we're good until the end of September, and then the weather can go kind of haywire after that. But yeah, I cannot believe it. I'm seeing back to school events. A lot of MWR programs or bases are sponsoring these back to school events, which are awesome, giving kids backpacks and school supplies, and usually a lot of fun and entertainment and food along the way for these events. So that's started. So that's got me thinking fall already and the end of summer. And then I literally saw a commercial where somebody was offering pumpkin spice or promoting something that was pumpkin spice. And I'm like, oh, that is the kiss of death. That means summer is ending. But seriously, crazy how time flies. Um, Also, for those watching live, you may note that this is a new time for On the Front Line. We are going to be at 1 o'clock on the hour on Tuesdays from here on forward. So, for future reference, that is our time. For those that watch it live, that is our new time. Today, my guest is Emily Caramanian from Fort Benning in Georgia. As a young professional, she is giving and navigating her career in recreation management. And we're going to share some of that and some of her thoughts on that whole idea of navigating recreation management, especially as a young professional. Plus, she's also a veteran of Daily Parks and Rec Show. She actually did a podcast back in March with our founder, Craig LeBlanc. and that was a great show. And once we saw that, we said, "Hey, she's a military recreator. We need her on the front line." So I'm super excited to have that conversation with Emily today. As you know, we are part of an amazing media company called Daily Parks and Rec Show, or DPRS. DPRS Media exists to honor those park and recreation professionals, reflecting on their stories, highlighting their careers, celebrating those real pros who are doing the essential work in our communities. And that, yes, that includes our military communities. Want to give a shout out to our producer today, Jovi, once again does an awesome job. She helps with pre-promotion for the show. She's the one working the transitions and the graphics and pulling things up, basically keeping me in line. So, Jovi, ahead of time, thank you for what you do. I also want to thank our founder of DPRS Media, Craig LeBlanc, for allowing us the opportunity to host this weekly podcast focused solely on military recreation and the great work being done out there by those MWR professionals. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but our YouTube channel is up. We are out there, the DPRS channel, or Daily Parks and Rec Show channel on YouTube. And then On the Frontline has its own playlist. I believe the 29th episode. We're only on, I think this is our 32nd. So we've got a majority of them up there, and they're going up there very quick. We do some post production on them, and then we load them on the channel. But we have our own playlist there. We are trying to get more subscribers, so we'll talk about that. And then for those that like to consume their podcasts in their car or a different way, we have audio files that are going up on Spotify pretty instantaneously. So majority of our episodes are already up on Spotify as well. And again, under Daily Parks and Rec Show, and of course, On the Frontline has its own channel on Spotify. So check it out. Today's show sponsor, as usual, is Outdoor Link. If you want to turn on your entire city on and off with a swipe of a finger on an app, this is what Outdoor Link does. Outdoor Link builds smart cities connecting your park lights, splash pads, fountains, scoreboards, bathroom locks, or anything powered by electricity into a simple app on your phone, tablet, or desktop that can be controlled from any location 24/7, 365 days a year. If you'd like to learn more about Outdoor Link, tune in to the Smart Parks Forward show with Dave Ramirez, typically on the second and fourth Mondays on the DPRS network. We're going to see a short promo on Outdoor Link and something near and dear to my heart, JDP Services Management Consulting. So, Jovi, with that, I promise we'll be right back, but Jovi, take it away.
JDP Services Management Consulting, supporting parks and recreation and the essential service they provide. Communities benefit greatly from having dedicated advocates who champion the value of play in open spaces. Such advocacy ensures that recreational areas are prioritized and managed in ways that enhance the overall quality of life for everyone. We are dedicated to fortifying public park and recreation agencies and other related organizations by taking a practical, engaged approach to consulting and training, addressing immediate needs while equipping clients with lasting insight and tools to strengthen their organizations for long-term success. JDP Services, Management Consulting, meeting needs and exceeding expectations.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the daily Parks and Rec show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
All right. I told you we would be back, and we are. So, hey, with that, Jovi, if you could pull up the deck. This is the portion of the podcast where we kind of reach around the world and kind of see what's happening. We get this off social media channels and websites, and we work predominantly with the Armed Forces Recreation Network of NRPA, who has these social media channels, mainly Facebook and LinkedIn. We'll talk about that on the back end, but I always like to peek and see what's happening out there. Ton of events, like I said, school age or back to school events are starting to happen. There's still some, many runs that are happening out there. A couple that I picked today were just a couple pretty cool things. And Marine Corps Community Service, MCCS, at the Marine Corps Air Station at Iwakuni, Japan. The air station out there, their bowling center had a little contest to decorate the bowling pins. If you worked in the MWR world, you know that we rotate our bowling pins on a regular basis. So we've always got old ones. People do some pretty creative things. Sometimes they turn them into awards or give them away. Here, they took some old pins, gave them to their patrons who took advantage and decorated them. So pretty cool, creative event, and good stuff happening from the team out there in Japan with that. Okay, here's another one, summer reading program. Tons of them out there. So I only picked one, but kudos to everybody out there that is running a summer reading program of some kind. It could be associated with a day camp, or obviously if a base has a full-fledged DoD library on it, then or DOW library, then they're running the program. Some of the community rec programs I know in the Navy that don't have necessarily a library are running summer reading programs. Either way, really good stuff. This one is from Naval Air Station Pensacola and the MWR team. They're creating some pretty cool arts and craft projects associated with basically growing, plant the seed and read. So kind of growing their knowledge base with reading and their skills there. And obviously, we want to thank our sponsor, USAA, who's out there supporting some of these programs. So wanted to highlight this, but again, not only for the Pensacola team that, it's being highlighted here with their social media posts, but all of the bases out there around the world that are running these summer reading programs, which are vitally, vitally important. So, Jovi, another one before we pull it up. I want to show a very, very creative public service announcement from Fort Rucker. I was laughing, literally laughing for like 3 or 4 minutes when I was watching this thing, going, okay, I know what they're trying to do, but they did it in such a fun and creative way. Jovi was able to download the video from Facebook, and she's going to show it here. It's short, quick, and very cute, and I think you're going to laugh. So from Fort Rucker, here it is. Jovi, pull it up.
If you encounter an alligator, Bigfoot, or even the Loch Ness Monster while visiting Lake Tulaco, congratulations! You've had a more exciting day than most of us.
But in the unlikely event your unexpected visitor is an alligator, here's what you need to know. First, don't panic. Second, remember, this is their home. We're just visiting. If you do spot an alligator, keep a safe distance. Never feed or approach it. Keep children and pets away and let the alligator do its thing.
The good news is, most visitors spend countless days enjoying Lake Tulaco without ever seeing one. So get out there, soak up some sunshine, enjoy the lake, and if you happen to encounter one of our scaly neighbors, give it some space, carry on. Stay safe out there, Fort Rucker. Enjoy your weekend. Come enjoy the lake too. Call your mom. Tell her you love her.
That was awesome. Very creative videos that are happening out there on various topics. So we need to create an awards for social media posts, creativity or something. Maybe I don't know anybody else doing it, but since we represent all the services, or maybe working through the Armed Forces Recreation Network, we can create some awards, social media awards or something down the line. But that was awesome. And I've seen a few alligators on golf courses in my time, my 39 years within the Department of Defense. So they're real, but cute, good way to get a public service announcement out there and a little laugh as well from Fort Rucker. Okay, YouTube, as mentioned, this is what the YouTube channel is. We are looking for more subscribers. We've gained probably about 150 over the last 6 weeks or so since we've been really pushing this, but we can do some really cool things in a live format. And one of the check boxes that we need to make is to get to 1,000 subscribers. So please pass it along, get your friends, family, your professional network out there, pass this along. But if you can subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. And like I said, we'd like to be doing more live stuff on YouTube. Okay, and Armed Forces Recreation Network, they've got a meeting coming up here, I believe on the 12th. But they are doing really good stuff, the leadership team there. And here's some QR codes to their Facebook and LinkedIn site. Really easy to search if you're on any of those platforms. But the bottom line is that we want that information coming through some way, somehow, or most of you know my socials. So if you ever want to send me a link to something, or we'll talk about some changes with the Army here as we talk to Emily. But if you're having trouble posting to any of those networks or something's changed on that end, we'll figure out a way to tell good stories. We'd love to do that. All right, Joby, you can take that back down, and let's bring up our guest today. So happy to have her. All right, let's bring in Emily Caramanian. She's a recreation specialist from FMWR at Fort Benning, Georgia. Emily has primarily worked within the outdoor rec area and Warrior Adventure Quest, both Fort Benning and Fort Hood. Plus, she's a graduate of the illustrious Texas A&M program. So I'm in awe that she had a degree from Texas A&M. That really is a great program. Has put out a ton of really good recreation pros out into the business. Emily has also got a variety of experiences, including working with both the Marine Corps and Coast Guard MWR program. So, Emily, welcome. Welcome
Thank you.
On the Front Line.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hey, first I need to ask you, you did that episode with Craig back in March. So how does this compare so far? Are you a little less nervous because you went through it the first time, or
Yes.
more nervous? What's your feeling?
I definitely think less nervous. Sorry, my dog wants to be in this.
All right.
But I definitely think less nervous, and also work is calming down right now, and it was a little ramped up in March, so that definitely has something to do with it.
Yeah, you should check out that episode. We, like I said, we have YouTube, Spotify. That episode's out there. It was in March. I don't remember the exact number of the episode unless you do off the top of your head. But it's good stuff. Craig talks to young professionals, and that's always a good story because they really are the next leaders of our business. So that's part of the reason why I wanted you on today. Is really, I've talked to a lot of people who are either retired or on the back end of their career. They've made a huge footprint in the business. So those are all great conversations. But I need to talk to the people who are out there doing it right now who are going to be the next leaders, and that's you.
Yes.
So thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So why don't we do, because it looks like your dog is going to be in this episode. So let's introduce your dog, please.
This is Duncan. He is a 7-year-old English setter. And just he likes the attention. So
Full of life. Full
yes.
of life. I love it. Well, Duncan, welcome to On the Front Line as well. Emily, I talked a little bit about your background, but tell us a little bit about why Texas A&M and how you got into kind of this parks, recreation, tourism emphasis, and a little bit about your journey to Fort Benning, where you currently reside.
Okay. So Texas A&M for starters. My parents went there. My parents met at A&M, and Duncan is actually named after Duncan Dining Hall on Texas A&M's campus.
Love it.
Another dog named Spence, who was named after Spence Park, Spence Hall. So love the school, love the traditions. But I'm the youngest of 4 girls, and my older sisters went to Alabama, Auburn, and Mississippi State, and some grad schools. But
yeah, you got the Southeast
yes,
all covered.
all
you
SEC
went to the,
West.
yeah. My just point of interest. One, I've always been, for whatever reason, I love Texas A&M. I love their football and basketball teams. I always kind of liked them from afar. Then my son went and moved about 7 years ago to Austin, Texas. So kind of have picked up on Texas a little bit, but it gets a little tricky there when they match up in sports. But anyways, I've always been a big fan of the school, the program that you went through at Texas A&M. So that's great. And College Station is a pretty cool place.
It really is, and I truly loved my time at A&M. Even since I got out, the alumni network has been wonderful. And it's always so fun when I am just driving down the road and I see another Texas A&M sticker on a car, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But I thought my parents might like me better if I went to Texas A&M, their alma mater. And so that's how I ended up wanting to go to Texas A&M. And then I toured, and it was just home, and I couldn't imagine going anywhere else. So
awesome.
I loved it. And then when I got there, I really did not know what I was going to do or what I wanted to do. So I started in rangeland ecology, and then that was way too much science. And my sister was like, why don't you do business? And I was like, because I don't like business. And I found a recreation park and tourism sciences, which is no longer a degree at A&M, which makes me really sad. They did more hospitality tourism, less parks and recreation, but they still have classes and courses over that. And I really enjoyed learning the specifics of just general concepts. We live our life making money so that we can recreate. And to have a class that went into, okay, yeah, if you live here, there's more to do. So of course they're not going to pay you as much because you want to live there. But if you live somewhere where there's nothing to do, they're going to have to pay you more because there's nothing to do. And so it was just learning more specifics that I loved.
And I always like defining parks and recreation. And I went to a school where it was part of the health, physical education side of things versus business. And now that's being kind of pushed around out there in academia right now because, frankly, competition with sports management, which is like the 10th most popular major in the country. I've always felt that Parks and Recreation, or at least Parks and Recreation administration, the management side of it, we have a lot of platforms and abilities within Parks and Recreation, but at least that side of it should really be in the business school because we are a specialized business. You may start out at a programmer level, that's where we all start, but eventually you're going to be in charge of people, things, money, resources, and that then becomes business. So yeah, sorry for interjecting,
No,
but
you're fine. You're totally
I, I
fine.
I feel pretty passionate about that. That's where the Parks and Rec admin should be in the
Hmm.
business school.
And it really is such a niche thing that touches everything.
Hmm.
That it's like I have a degree in Parks and Rec, but I also have experience in business and in like STEM and math and all sorts of different things. And so
All the
it's
things you didn't like when you
yes,
wanted to go to college, you just get exposed to it. It's not
yes.
that bad.
And when it's about something that you genuinely enjoy and are passionate about, you're like, okay, yeah, this doesn't even, come across my mind as like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. So you graduated from Texas
Mhm.
A&M. Where'd you do your internship? I assume you
Um,
had to do an internship.
I did, yes. I did my internship with the Coast Guard up at the training center in Cape May. I had so much fun. I chose that location not because of where it is, but because with that particular internship, I was going to be able to have experience with their ticket and information desk, with the community sports, with intramurals, with youth, with CYS and outdoor recreation, and the lodging, hospitality as well. Sorry, my dog is bumping my desk. With everything.
Duncan's good with me. He can do anything.
So I chose that, and I absolutely adored it. I mean, the little family that's up there. I think most everybody now has retired or left, but it was just the cutest small community that I got so much experience in so many different things. And then because I was a outside person, they were like, we want you to go around and immerse yourself in all of our programs and activities. And then we want you to write the proposal for our end of the year award that the Coast Guard gives out as like number one, a float and then a shore base of the year in
Yeah,
different
yeah.
size categories.
Yeah, that's a big deal to be
Yeah.
asked to even help produce the content that goes into those award packs. All the services have very similar installation award programs, so and that's always that's a chore to put that together because they're relying those bases. Obviously, Public Works have a lot of projects. There's a couple others feed into it, but MWR usually is a big component. The command headquarters or the admin staff is always waiting on us to produce our write up because it's a big chunk of the write up for the entire installation. So that's awesome for you.
And
Um,
the fact that, oh, sorry, the
no,
fact
go
that
ahead.
I was an intern and they put me in charge of
Yeah,
producing that is insane because I've been at bigger bases since then and could not comprehend seeing them allow an intern to do that.
there's a couple ways you could look at that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with you were a really strong intern for them to give you that kind of latitude. But yeah, that's interesting. So, a little trivia
Mhm.
question for you, and for our audience. Hopefully, you know this. What does we all know that MWR, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation, which is pretty generic across the services, but W in MWR for Coast Guard is a little different. So what
Wellness.
is it? Well-being,
Well-being.
well-being,
Oh, I knew that.
well-being, but close enough. So for everybody out there, you got a little smarter today. That Coast Guard calls it morale, well-being, and recreation. And quite honestly, personally, I think that's a better fit than welfare. Welfare is kind of I know where it came from because I know the history, but I like well-being. So for what it's worth. The
Absolutely.
other thing I wanted to mention too was someone who helped hook you up with this internship, someone we both know, Mr. Rick Harwell.
Yes.
And you had him as kind of an advisor and instructor.
Mhm.
Great guy. Spent some
Absolutely.
time with the Navy. I haven't talked to him in years. I know you gave me email, and I'm planning on reaching out. But he's a
Good.
great guy.
Yes.
He was the one that encouraged you.
Absolutely. He just kind of showed it to me, and he was like, this is what I did, and I loved it. And it didn't occur to me that was this is a career field, and it's so broad. There's so many different things you can do. And he was like, okay, they have these internships, and you should do it. And so I kind of went, okay, I guess. And I never looked back, much to my parents' dismay. Just moving all over the place.
Lot. That is awesome. So that kind of takes me into what I wanted to ask you next is why Armed Forces Recreation? Was it really the internship? And because once you kind of go down this road, you're really going down a road. Not to say you can't pop out and do something else in public parks, but yeah, why Armed Forces Recreation?
So my dad served in the Marine Corps, and then at some point he was working on an Army base. And so I grew up thinking, oh yeah, my dad's a Marine in the Army, and never really thought about the intricacies of the military. And my parents always kind of said, why don't you go serve in the military? And I was like, I don't think that's for me, but I love being able to serve those that serve and their families, because I know how, hearing the stories, I was the youngest, so I didn't see much of it, but hearing the stories of like all that my mom did and to raise the kids when my dad was deployed, and the communities that they had within the neighborhoods. And so being at naval air stations, and then we were at the Army base, and I just grew up within the community that I understood, not fully because I never really tried to learn. I still don't know the difference between battalions and units, and everything's a unit to me, especially considering there's so many differences between each base and the branches. Everything's a unit.
Yeah, it is, especially if you're bouncing around to different places. So I derailed you a little bit. You finally got done with your internship.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What was that first real job after you graduated with Armed Forces Recreation?
So my first real job was with the Marine Corps. I was a supervisory recreation specialist at MCIS Beaufort in Beaufort, South Carolina. And I was in charge of the staff at a fitness center, and it's a spectacular fitness center. And my manager there, Chris Wilk, was fabulous. I mean, he really took me under his wing and just helped me learn and taught me as much as he could. And I was also, I went to college several states away from my parents, but then they moved closer. And at this point, they had moved to Texas because I was there. And I was like, okay, bye, I'm going to South Carolina. And I didn't know many people, and I was, I think, 22 at the time, which seems so young to me. But I loved it. It was difficult being in charge of people. But I think I learned a lot. And
especially coming out of college, it's tough to all of a sudden, if you're in charge of a bunch of people, one, you kind of have to earn their respect to some extent. And when you first start, sometimes they know more than you do, but you're the boss. So that can be challenging to navigate. I know I struggled with that a little bit. I became a boss fairly young in my career too, and I had people, whether they were around forever, and now having a little internet connection issue here. Anyways, it was a struggle for me. So I bet you that was hard for you.
It was. And luckily I had my manager who was able to walk me through a lot of it. But at the same time, it was like, I think I just want to take a position where I can focus more so on the programs and less so on the people. Not that being a manager is just difficult. And I think I wanted to focus more so on serving the community firsthand than being in charge of so many people. And especially because it was during COVID. And so I started January of 2020 and the gym shut down March of 2020. And I sat at home and I got another dog, and I think I got another dog and fostered another dog all during that time. But we finally opened up in April or May, and then it was masks only, and having to tell Marines that they have to wear a mask when they work out, even though they're social distancing.
Temperature checks coming into the facility. Oh my! Let's not even rehash that. But that just speaks to what a challenging time for you to come in, and I'm glad to hear you had a supervisor that kind of took you under their wing and helped you and navigate it. A mentor, a true mentor, it's a little more of a formal relationship. You don't necessarily have to have a mentor, but it's always good to have somebody you can look up to. Hi, Duncan. How you doing? Good boy. And they can help you navigate a lot. So we all need to find those folks. That's a takeaway for really anybody. And quite honestly, everywhere in my career, I was looking for someone that you could really just observe, listen to, and pick up. How can I better myself as a leader, as a manager, as a supervisor? How can I approach things? Sometimes you went the opposite direction. You saw that those people highly respect it, but you might not like how they handled a certain situation or how they communicated something. And you'd say, if I was in their shoes, I'd do it this way. That all helps you build who you are going to be when you do get to the point where you have a pretty large team and you're in charge of. So pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. So where'd you go after the Marine base?
Yes. So after the Marine base, I took a little break and really just decided that like military recreation was where my heart is, being able to serve our active duty and our veterans and the family members. And so I took a job with Fort Hood, then Fort Cavazos, and it was
massive base.
Massive base, yes.
Yeah.
And it was so difficult, but like I grew so much. And like looking back on it, I loved my time there. But there are bittersweet moments. But I can really see how I grew from the start to when I did leave there to go to Fort Benning. And I still am in contact with my old boss and my old bosses. And
that's awesome.
We talk, I'll call him, I'll be like, I'm having a problem with this. And it takes me right back to when I would huff and puff into his office and I'd sit down and I'd, tell my manager, Dennis, everything. And he'd go, Emily, pick your battles. And I'd roll my eyes and I'd say, if I lose every battle, I'm going to lose the war. And he'd say, pick your battles. And
that's good advice.
So much
good advice.
Patience.
Or, one step at a time. I mean, you attack things strategically, and which one do you want to attack first? What's next? Some you just need to let go, or they'll go away on their own. But strategically pick that out. That is awesome too. So is that where you started with Warrior Warrior Adventure Quest?
It is, yes.
That's a formal program in the Army, right?
Yes. Was a formal program, defunded in August of last year. Yeah. So it's almost been a full fiscal year since they were defunded, which broke my heart because that was truly my passion. Being able to just coordinate with units to have a fun day where they get paid to play with their whole company and just be put into situations where their adrenaline is up, and it's similar to the feelings that they get when they're deployed in action and combat, but it's in a safe setting and they're able to build personal relationships. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's a good program. Yeah, I've heard this before. I think the Air Force lost some funding too for their outdoor rec program, ODR program. You hang in there, you try to deliver it the best you can, or pieces of it with what you can with the resources. And who knows, it may come back. It was pretty popular. And yeah, there's some big unknowns for DOW going forward. So you never know what's going to happen. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to start talking about outdoor recreation, kind of what you're involved with now, and some maybe data and analytics. We had a great discussion as we were prepping for this about that, and I love the fact that you like analytics and data to drive decisions. That I don't see that all the time from young professionals, but you are all over it. So we'll be right back. I'm going to let Jovi take us to some promos. Promise we will be right back with Emily.
Not every mission happens behind a desk. Some happen in the places where our freedom is defended. This is the front line, where service meets reality. Readiness requires resilience, and impact is measured in people, not headlines. We talk with the men and women who support our military communities, the leaders, responders, and recreation professionals who create spaces where service members and their families can recharge, connect, and stay strong. From fitness and recreation to community programs that strengthen the total force at home and abroad, we share the stories, the challenges, and the purpose that keeps them going. Welcome to On The Frontline, the Military Rec Show, hosted by John Prue. Real people, real stories, real service. This is where it begins.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs. We're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
All right, we are back with Emily. We were kind of starting to talk about Warrior Adventure Quest and outdoor recreation. Why are those programs so important to young sailors, soldiers, airmen, Marines? Why do those programs work, and why are they so impactful?
I truly think because it comes down to when you have leadership that pushes for the opportunity for them to have a fun day, to not just play. There was a little bit more to it. They would do discussion questions, and it was similar to an AAR, where they would talk how things went and kind of get the ball rolling on like how to communicate and what the similarities are. When you think of what program they were able to do, at Fort Hood, we did a lot of paintball, and then we did a lot of horseback riding and equestrianship. And that was more so like okay, what did you learn from your horse? A lot of it was like communication, and it wasn't just verbal communication. You had to really pay attention to nonverbal cues. And how does that help you when you're back at home, when you're in the office? And so one of the things I'd always ask is like, okay, how can you take what you have learned today, not only like back into the office, but back into the field, and then back into your home life with your family? And you'd learn that, or what we had hoped to hear was that, they're able to just kind of step back and think,
reflect.
Yeah, reflect, see the situation without more so being in the middle of all the craziness.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you are introducing them to things that they may have never done before. In most cases, they probably haven't done before. So you are giving them recreational opportunities, potentially for life.
And
Something that they'll do that they can take their family with, or their kids someday. Yeah, that's awesome. What were the 3 or 4 like coolest trips or excursions or activities that you planned through either outdoor recreation or formally through the Adventure Quest program?
So one of my top favorites was a horseback riding equestrian trip. We partnered with the nonprofit On Post in the training area, who managed the Belton Lake Outdoor Recreation Stables, and Hoofbeats for Heroes. Absolutely amazing nonprofit. I mean, the owner, Tiffany, she pours her heart and her soul into every single person that comes through that gate, into every single horse. And it was just the passion she had. It just filled you with such purpose and joy.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate. I happened through my consulting business, had a chance to go out and visit the Armed Services YMCA in San Diego and do an assessment for them. And one of the properties that they had a lot of stuff going on. They were in Balboa Hospital. They had a child care, school age care facility. Lots of great things happening. So shout out to the folks at Armed Services YMCA in San Diego. But they also ran a horse ranch to them, and so they were doing a lot of inclusive programming up there and just some team building stuff. And it was about 40 miles or 40 minutes outside of San Diego to go up there, but the team and the folks that were up there were so impressive with what they did, and their connection with the animals themselves was pretty cool too. So I digress. Okay, equestrian program. What are your other 2 or 3 favorite programs?
So I also really enjoyed paintball, because I have realized now that how we did it at Fort Hood is very different than how other bases did it. At Fort Benning, they do it completely different. Not saying one is better than the other, but at Fort Hood, we had so much space. And so we were able to get anywhere from 40 to 80 soldiers out there at a time playing against each other. And it was so fun to like see them all using their skills and, the things they actually do for work to like get out there, and the infantry stuff. And we'd plan not Warrior Adventure Quest programs, but they would book like a private program and say, hey, we want to run a training, but instead of using, the fake little laser pointer things that we have, can we do paintball? And so we would love that. We'd work out how to do that, but they'd come, and then the medics would be able to use their skills and practice. And
so somebody goes down with a paintball and the medics would come out. I love that. What a twist.
And they'd actually have to work on them. And that was really fun to see. And then we had a whole bunch of connexes together in a small area. And we had, I think, a night event. And so we brought out like the lights for them, and they had to use their, night seeing vision, and just being able to know that not only were we helping them in like an outdoor recreation standpoint, but also allowing them to see that, okay, if you just use some creativity, you can actually do your job and make it fun.
Yeah. No, that's good. I dabbled with some paintball back in the day, but we had one at the Navy base. But again, we're with sailors, so they're not as good as Army soldiers in a paintball. So I don't think I would play with Army soldiers in paintball. I might get hurt.
Yes.
But of course, I would have a medic ready to take care of me too. Okay,
Absolutely.
I'm going to give you one more. What was your
Okay.
third favorite activity you like to plan or excursion?
I'm trying to think. So what it comes down to is the third program would be the trap and skeet shooting. And the reason I liked that so much was because we had volunteers who were veterans, a lot of them that were in the range club, and they'd come down and they'd help us host these programs. And you'd have soldiers that had never shot a shotgun before, and they were like, what do I do with this? And so they got to learn how to do that. And they'd have little competitions of, okay, who can hit the most clay targets and whatnot. But when the groups were switching, when one group would shoot and the other would have to come back, they were all just joking and laughing and conversating and just making memories that weren't, anything super crazy, like going to France or going, to Antarctica, something like that. But it was more so I remember just the feeling that you get, I sat there and I kind of bonded with my commander, or, groups would come in and we'd say, okay, is there anybody new in your unit? And they'd go, yeah, we have a couple new guys. And I'd say, okay, what are their names? And they'd go, I don't know. And I'd go, okay, let's see if you can learn that by the time we leave today. And then by the time they left, they were friends and they were able to remember each other's names and more so things about them. And so it was just bringing people together in the community. And
that's awesome. That is awesome. And again, you're touching upon some business lines that we run. I mean, not everybody has a skeet range or does trap shooting, but there are a number of military bases that do have them on there, and it's a business line within that MWR umbrella, and you can take advantage of it to again build skills and whatever. Okay, let's talk a little bit about data and analytics. Obviously, you had to use that for Warrior Adventure Quest, and I'm sure for a bunch of different programs. But why is that a passion, and what do you do with it to really make sure you're making smart decisions?
Yeah. So to start, at the end of each month, the Warrior Adventure Quest would send out kind of here's the run of how many events each base did. And, we got reimbursed for it, but it was, okay, how is this base that's smaller than ours doing more programs than ours? And not only that, but are they having as much as an impact? And so this wasn't in my job description. I was just so curious about,
so you had access to data coming from other bases, not just your own. So you could do some comparison analysis?
Not necessarily. It was just one rollout sheet of big numbers, total numbers.
Gotcha.
And I actually went up to my boss and I said, hey, I have finished all of my work. Can I focus on this side project? And he was like, what's the side project? And I was like, I want to figure out if what they're doing And if we can do it and be better. And that was my whole thing, is I wanted to improve what we had done, because since when I started at Fort Hood, they did anywhere from 0 to 5 programs a month. And within my first 3 months, we began doing anywhere from 8 to 15, 16 events a month for the entire 3 years I was there. And I mean, there might have been some one-offs because of weather and cold and things like that, but it was that no one knew these programs existed. And so going and putting it in and this also plays into the marketing thing that the Army's doing now. But, just going and putting it, a flyer in front of people. And we had two separate ones kind of that we had designed. It was a program flyer for commanders that had, okay, this is all that like y'all can get out of this program, and this is exactly what it is. And then for just the people in the units, it was, hey, ask your leadership if y'all can do this. And it was a lot more fun, big picture, and it was a lot of fun to learn how to like market to people in different positions, and then to just go up to them and be like, hi, my name is Emily and I work for the MWR, and I want to offer you guys a free program that is not only going to benefit, y'all's happiness, but it's also going to improve all of these different things. And there's science and data to back that claim. And so that's what I loved. And
I like that. So you're getting data on the front end to validate the program, and then you're surveying and talking to them after to be able to show the impact and the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever we do with feedback. But really, if you can prove the impact it has, which goes way deeper than us. I mean, you'd have to get back with command leadership and find out if, these people who, participate in your programs actually perform better in training in their, mission related assignments. I mean, which is incredibly, incredibly hard to do. But you're talking about the same steps you would take to get that done. And if we could ever prove the impact of MWR within the scope of what we do and the impact on the mission, we'd be golden. We wouldn't have funding issues. Trouble is, we're continually have to show the at least subjective ways in which we support the mission and improve performance and all that good stuff. That's great.
I don't know if it was necessarily like on the front end that I had this data, but it was all data that they had come up with when they had first trialed the programs back in 2007 and 2012. And then they had finally done the study to pull all of the survey results. And I think the last one they had done was in like 2016, 2017, but they had different graduate students do their, thesis, their dissertation on the efficacy of outdoor recreation in the realm of a positive impact it can play on military, active duty, and veterans. And so I reached out to the, head of the Army's Warrior Adventure Crest, and I said, hey, I would love to see this data, because I want to be able to not only like prove the efficacy, but like the differences between each base, like which programs truly help support, and what does this staff do at this base that's gonna
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it because you are you've got the mindset of a program analyst. You really do. I spent the last 5.5 years of my career being a program analyst for Navy Region Mid-Atlantic, and it was a massive region. And so diving into those little things, you almost have to have a mindset, and I can tell you have that.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Who knows where your career will take you? Okay, we're going to wrap it up. We got a couple minutes left. I got 2 quick questions for you.
Yes.
First of all, I'll give you 30 to 45 seconds on each of them. Thereabout. I won't, if your dog comes in the picture, then I'll give you an extra 15 seconds. Anyway, here it is. Recently, Army has come out with a little bit of a ban on social media sites. I shouldn't say ban. It's really just kind of curtailing and narrowing in how much of a footprint they're going to be on social media. So really kind of the MWR, which was classic across DOW, that had social media sites, individual social media, because of the amount of marketing and promotion. They've been trimmed down, and now it's really just like one Facebook page or one account coming from a base instead of all these splintered accounts. It impacted a lot of people, but MWR probably the biggest in the Army. So how is that going to impact you at Fort Benning right now, that new ban, which just kicked in July 31st, I believe?
Yes. We don't really know yet. It's wait and see. We have a lot of paper flyers that we put on bulletin boards. But that doesn't always hit the right people. And so you really have to figure out, okay, what are we going to do? When I was at Hood, I used to call it canvassing. And I would take a stack of flyers and I would go walk into each building and knock on the door and say, I'd like to talk to someone about my program, and hand them all the flyers. And so I also didn't ask for permission, more so forgiveness on that one.
No, interesting there, and we'll move on to the next question. But one, I'm sure you're going to buddy up with the public affairs because they own the social media channels. So MWR always has great content. Two, people are probably looking at this going, are you kidding me? You're still using flyers? Believe it or not, especially with junior personnel, junior enlisted, if you can give them something in their hand in a moment's notice, that's when they make those decisions on whether they're going to go. So yes, in the right place. If you're just posting flyers on a wall, forget it. It's not going to work. But if you hand them something and tell them about a program, that is actually effective marketing in our world. And I know that's blowing people's minds away right now, that still works, but it does work in the military.
I agree with you, because when I would do that at Hood, we were actually on like a flyer ban. We weren't supposed to have any paper flyers like printed or done. And somehow they got around.
Even if they're this big, you don't need to give them a full sheet of paper. Cut it up into quarters. Okay, last one.
Yes.
And we got to be quick because we got to get out of here. But what are you most proud of? You're a young professional. You don't have this storied career, but you got to be something that is professionally you're proud of at this date. It'll probably change 10 years from now, but what is it for you?
I took notes, but I don't have time to read them because I have to answer.
No.
So I think
off the top of your head,
it's forming the connections with everyone and being able to say, I actually did make an impact. And so, even if it's the smallest thing, it's that I can be now at Benning and have a conversation with someone and they'd say, oh, you were the paintball girl. And I'd say, yeah. And they'd say, oh, my unit did that when I was there and we loved it. And just seeing a smile on someone's face when I was responsible for doing at least a small little thing to get that done and that event. Just a smile.
That's awesome. And I really appreciate you coming on. You're now a veteran, a true veteran of DPRS media. You've done 2 podcasts. Not many people have done 2. And maybe we'll have you on another one for On the Front Line and catch up with you sometime soon. So Emily, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please tell Duncan, be good. And if I was there, I'd give him a treat.
Yes.
I really would.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks again, Emily, for your amazing story and current journey in the profession with a lot more to come. We will be back next week, same time, same place, and for another great episode. So on behalf of all of us at DPRS Media and On the Frontline, the Military Rec Show. I'm John Prue, and we are out here.
Thanks again.
This episode is brought to you by SDSU's Sports MBA program. If you're passionate about sports and want to work in the women's sports industry, then this is the time to pay attention. SDSU's program is 12 months accelerated hands-on learning where students have actually gotten to work with teams like the San Diego Mojo, partnered with the Farmers Insurance Open, and visited headquarters like the Upper Deck or Callaway Golf. It's built for people who want to be in rooms like that. So if you're interested, deadlines are approaching. Learn more or apply with the links in the description.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. Decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention.